Mrs. Hines here. We're going to show you a Scratch tutorial, how you're going to make an interactive game using the arrow keys. And you're going to have one character that moves with the arrow keys. You're going to have a second character that falls randomly. And a third sprite is going to be launched across the screen. When you start your game, you're going to be in control of one, be able to move it with the arrow keys. I can press the space bar, and when that hits the other character, I do get a score. You can also see I do have a timer that's counting down. So let me show you how you're going to do that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is log into Scratch. That will allow you to save all of your work. You're going to create a brand new animation. You probably don't want to use the cat, so you can just close right out of there. If you hover over here, you can choose a sprite from their library, a surprise sprite, draw your own, or upload one. So if you have something saved to your computer, whether it's an image you made yourself or one you saved offline, you can use that here. So I'm going to go into the library, and I'm just going to choose, say, the butterfly. My butterfly wants to be able to move with the arrow keys. So I'm going to use under control and events. That's going to get me started. When the green flag is clicked, generally it's how you start your code. Under control, I'm going to do some things for setting up my code. This is always going to happen, so I'm going to use a forever loop, but it's always going to happen if I'm pressing a certain button. So you can see under sensing, this is how the computer can tell if I'm interacting with the game or not. So there's a key space pressed right here. It fits in just like a puzzle piece into this code block, and you can change the space to any of the keys. If you're using a makey, you can use the up, down, left, right. You can also use the WASD keys, so you might want to think about that. If you're going and pressing the up arrow, think about what you want to have happen here. I want my character to change their position and move up. That's going to be the y-axis, is up and down. Under motion, that's anything to do with how you get your character to move. So you can say, when I press the up arrow, I want to change y by a positive 10. So if I run my code and I press the up button, you can see how it moves. If you right click on it, you can duplicate this and then change this into being down and have it go in the downwards direction on a negative. So now when I run my code, I can go up and down. You can do the same thing, duplicating it and going left and right. So if right, you're not changing y anymore. Instead, you're changing x. So that's going to fit in that puzzle piece. And I'll duplicate that, and I'll say, hey, when I'm going left, I want to change x by negative 10. So I'm going to right click and clean up my blocks. That will stack everything really nice. And I'm going to test my code. So left, right, up, down, it all seems to work very well. One thing I might suggest in one of these, I would say have your character go to the center of your screen. 0, 0, or the origin. So now this sprite will always start there. I'm going to bring a second sprite in. From my library, I'll choose the beetle. If you wanted to shrink its size down at all, perhaps making it slightly smaller, I'm going to have this at 70%. You'll notice that the butterfly has completely different code than the beetle. That's because they're different characters. Just imagine them following two separate sets of directions. This character, I'm going to say, all right, when the green flag starts, I want you to go from one position and glide to another. So if I had him start very high up on the X, like a 300, and glide to a negative 300, press this, that will happen once. So now I can put it in a forever loop, and that will always happen. However, this wouldn't be a very challenging game if you knew a character is going to show up at exactly the same position. So we're going to use something in the operators called pick a random. If you pick a random number, and I'd say anywhere between 200 and negative 200, we can actually put that right in where the X is. So if you can think about it, it's actually going to pick a random space in the X plane and glide down to another random space. So now when I run it, you can see the character is falling at 1 second and then, from the top to the bottom. You could change this to have them fall slower or faster depending on your game. So you might want to have adjustments in how long it glides for. So now I'm going to just check my game. It looks pretty good. Please save it. This does not save automatically. So you want to name it your Tech 8 game and then just hit save now. Please save often. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this and I'm going to add yet a third character. So I'm going to choose a sprite, and for this purpose maybe I'll just have an apple. I'm going to have this apple follow the butterfly, and I'm going to have the butterfly throw the apple at the bug. So I'm going to have to tell the apple where to go. I am going to say when the green flag is clicked, I want you to go to where the butterfly is. So actually under sensing, it's the fourth one up from the bottom. It says backdrop of stage. But when you bring that out, you can actually change that to whatever sprite, and you can find that position of the sprite. For right now, I am going to use an operator, and I'll explain why in a minute. Actually, let me show you now. So if I do this, and I'm going to put this in a forever loop, it's going to go right on top of the sprite, and it's only going to happen like right away. So instead, I'm going to use this if else, and I'm always going to have it go to the position of the butterfly, but it's right on top of that. So instead, a better way to do it is if I add this operator, and then I say, just get this out of the way here. And then I say, let's see, I can actually add, maybe I have it a little bit in front, 50 was not enough, maybe like 80, like 100. So you can place this anywhere that you want. So then when hopefully we run the code, it is going to follow where it happens to be. So let me just finish coding that, because I'm also going to say the Y position of my butterfly. There. And now it should follow it along quite nice. So as you can see, I'm going to the position of the butterfly, both the X and the Y, and I just added this operator here. Now, if I wanted to glide across the screen, that's going to be under motion. I'm going to use the glide, and I'm going to say, hey, I still want it to be in the Y position of the butterfly. So I'm going to place that in for the Y, but I'm going to have it go all the way to the right. So that's going to be a positive 300 for my X. So now when I run the code, it follows it, and if I press the space key, it should shoot across the screen. Okay, so you can see what it's doing there. That. Awesome. So now that I have this, I want to make sure I save it. And now I'm going to add some variables. So under variable, I can actually make a variable, and I'm going to call it score. And I'm going to set my score, and I'm going to change my score. So initially, when I first click the green flag, I'm going to say my score is 0. And I'm going to get points always if this apple is touching the beetle. So I'm on the apple, and I'm going to say, if you are touching the beetle, I want you to increase my points by 1. Now, unfortunately, you are going to have to add a wait 1 second, or else it will give you too many points. So now let's check out this very basic game. Hit the green button. I'm able to move left, right, up, down. My other character is falling. I'm able to shoot across. And then, let's see, why aren't my variables displayed? So I just have to check that box right here to display my variable. And now, when I run my code, I should be able to get points, and my score should increase. So I'll just have to double check all of that, but it should be working just fine. So see what you can manage to do with your